So is Taiwan a democracy country? Most of the country believe it is. But is it? Let's explore that. Democracy is most wanted by people, and it is built on rule of law, human rights, and freedom as the solid foundation. Rule of law is not just the written law by itself. It's also about the process and execution with justice. Among human rights, taxpayers' right is the most important because it affects people's wealth and living, and also government spending. The government must approve the annual budget in a responsive and transparent way to the public. People have the right to know how the taxes are being used and should be within their affordability. So Professor Kenneth Jacobson of Temple University, he's also legal advisor to President Clinton, also human rights lawyer. And he has studied Taiwan case for years. And in his previous article, he wrote, the National Tax Bureau, NTB, of Taiwan has seriously abused the due process on Taiwan's case. He strongly accused NTB and said that justice delay is the justice delay. And because this case had been dragging on for many, many years, for over 24 years, and thousands of Taiwan DJ have been suffering all these years trying to protect their rights and prevent the property of the academy being seized and sold by the government. This is seriously violating the human rights and humanity. On July 4, 2020, on the Independence Day of United States, Professor Jacobson published an article abrogating the rule of law, abuse of power in the Taiwan case. He wrote, the power to tax is the power to destroy. He also concluded that NTB absolutely have no basis in law to continue its relentless persecution against Taiwan for the year of 1992 tax. After NTB has withdrawn those of 1991, 93, 94, 95, and 96. Professor Kenneth Jacobson picked July 4 to publish this article for a good reason. It signifies the importance of rule of law in a democracy system. The whole world has their eyes on Taiwan today. The government should treasure such achievement and improve on it. As you walk around in Taiwan these days, from north to south, it's not difficult to find some yellow vests with protest banners and signs, even with video on walking flag panels, to request justice and reform on tax and legal systems. They are organized by Tax and Legal Reform League. I have followed their Facebook and surprisingly to find there are so many tax victims in Taiwan. They have been, all those tax victims have lost their dignity, money, property, and some even committed suicide. But they all failed to fight with the government evil machine. This reminds me the IRS, the US tax dark days of IRS. There's a very famous, Bruce and Shirley Bayton's case. And this Bruce is a confident young lawyer who could not defend himself on illegal tax bill from IRS. And so he committed suicide by himself. But the IRS will not let go of his widow, Shirley. So the hopeless Shirley wrote to Jude Gray, the senator, and he listened and started the investigation of IRS on all the wrongdoing. So after the investigation report published about the evil actions and destructive power of IRS, United States government admits the injustice. The taxpayers' right becomes law, and you can find it easily on the IRS website today, or here, okay? So, we know Taijimen's case. The Supreme Court already ruled Taijimen is not guilty, no tax liability, and have not offense of the tax code. But why this still drags on? Because some of the bad officers, tax officers, they do it for their own purposes. We know that some of them even openly deny the Supreme Court ruling and totally ignore the court ruling. They slickly use administration process to override the court ruling. And there's one video even showed the heads of Ministry of Finance and NTB promised in the legislative yuan public hearing to end the case in weeks. But 10 years have passed. It's still open. As of February this year, Administrative Enforcement Agency has started auction process to sell the seated Taijimen properties. I strongly believe this is the reason to withdraw the tax bills for the 5 years and just leave in 1 year, because then they can allow them to use the administration right to sell those properties for bonus sharing. Even though these officers are fully aware of the tax bill is illegal. Taijimen is a manpai of martial arts and qigong to improve people's physical and mental health. And it's exempt for tax. This organization is exempt for tax. And we also know Dr. Hong and Taijimen have received numerous recognitions and awards from world leaders around the world. But why is such reputable organization have such unfair justice by the NTB? Taijimen's case is not only widely discussed in law school in Taiwan, it's also been noticed by World Taxpayers Association in their Europe region annual meeting. Also in their 2019, the 17th biannually global meeting in Sydney, the series discussed about it, and the participants don't believe it to start with, not until they see all the hard evidences. Besides that, the case is also drawn the attention of Association of World Citizens, which concerns about human rights. Their papers and videos have been published by worldwide members of AWC to condemn the wrongdoing of the tax officials and other government officers. In a recent online report of Professor Kenneth Jackson, he rightfully pointed out that those bad officers are like the cancer cells, that are slowly destroying Taiwan's democracy and human rights. So, by now, do you have your judgment on my question? Is Taiwan a democracy country? Democracy must be built on rule of law, human rights, and freedom. If a government allows those bad officers continue to violate the law, not respecting taxpayers' rights, and restrict people's freedom to travel before they are convicted guilty, how you think? Let's join tax and legal reform league to the Administrative Enforcement Agency and other government agencies to stop the auction to sell Taijimen properties immediately. the United States government can stand firm to admit IR's wrongdoings and change for the better. So does Taiwan. Okay? Taijimen, we urge Taiwan government to take appropriate action and stop bullying Taijimen and taxpayers. The Yellow Vest of Taiwan is fighting for justice. They just want Taiwan to become a better place with true democracy. Thank you.